testing out our mic. Ada, you want to test it? Are you going to be quiet? Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Brie and this used to be a flourishing crochet channel, but now we are shifting gears a little bit, still sticking with the arts and crafts, but adding in mum life with this little guy. He's very cute. So if that's the sort of content you would like to watch, then like and subscribe and enjoy today's video. Good morning. Good morning, cutie pie. Hello. Hi. You watching highlights with Daddy? Hey guys, we have returned to this YouTube channel with a new friend. This is Artie and he's 8 weeks today. So we are coming back and I am so excited. I had great intentions this morning to film our birth story, but this little guy needed to feed for 40 minutes out of the blue. So such is mum life now. Most fulfilling thing I have ever done and the hardest thing I've ever done. So I will add a nice long section at the end of our birth story explaining what happened, not in too much detail, honestly, because of a lot of it I have started to forget, but I do want to have it on video just honestly for my memory as well. It was quite hectic, but yeah, I don't want to focus on all the hectic stuff because in the end, like, I was just deeply proud of myself and there's enough crazy birth stories out there. So we'll just do a little summary at the end, but I thought today I would just take you along on our day in little snippets and then also show you this postpartum pack that I'm going to be making for my sister-in-law, because as someone who's literally just come out of that very early days of having a baby, it is so lovely just feeling thought of and cared for in practical ways. And so when I was baby free, had no idea honestly how to show love to new mums, but I got this from my church, actually, just a gift pack that had like a daily devotional in it just for some encouragement. They had a hair tie, like a bunch of little things that were just very, very practical, and as well as food is always the way to go, but I thought I would take you along as I create the little pack, so that if you want to make one as well and know how to help people who are postpartum in very practical ways. Oh, this guy is sleepy. But before we do that, we are headed to Pilates. Yeah, we're gonna go to Pilates. I've done a few classes already. I've done a couple of classes already at my physio, so they have a Pilates studio, as I try and work back to feeling fit and strong. I am a Pilates instructor, so it is very foreign feeling very weak in my pelvic floor. as well as I've got a bit of prolapse. So trying to manage that and deal with it is really fun, which just means I haven't been able to go on long walks or anything, but the rest of my body's feeling great. So we're in process of recovering that. Yes, through Pilates. Yeah, so we're 8 weeks today, and he started smiling last week, which has been so lovely. I think he's a bit overtired right now, so no smiles. You got some smiles for us? Maybe. And we have been so blessed by how chill this boy is. He sleeps really well and feeds really well. So after his little rocky start in the NICU, having him home has honestly been so easy. Easier than being pregnant, which I always was looking for people to tell me that mum and baby life wasn't going to be the end of me. So yeah, we are having so much fun and loving every minute of it. And yeah, pregnancy tired for me, way worse than sleep deprivation tired. So take heart if you're a little worried about that. But obviously it depends on the baby. So, you ready to go? You ready to go to Pilates? Oh, we're a bit upset. Oh. I think the car ride might help this guy have a little nap. We've done this for Audie. So I've just got back from the shops and I have bought all the stuff to make our little hamper. So I'll just talk you through it, and I will include in the comments below all the things I've included. Just stuff that are really helpful to have on hand. And I also loved getting some baskets with things in them purely for the basket, because it is all of a sudden a lot of random things around your house that don't have a place because you haven't had them before. So these are really good when you are postpartum. So to begin, I went to Coorong. Little buddy's doing tummy time, hang on. He's struggling. Put the lights on. That's a bit better, you can see me. So I got this one, which is nice and cute, like a little velvety one. That off. This was just from the like $2 shop at our local shopping centre. And then little cardboard book for the baby. So it's a nice super cute one, but they can't rip it up. Not that she'll be using that just yet, but good to have for the future. And then I got a really nice and aesthetic devotional book, just with daily encouragements, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but somebody gave me a gift quite similar when I was early postpartum, and I think I actually cried because it was just, yeah, I did mention it, baby brain, from our church, and I was just so touched. So trying to recreate the magic. Our local health food shop also had a sale on my favorite chocolate, so I got some of these, and I'm going to give her one, which is the Bonetto Natural Food Company. Their dark chocolate's really nice, so including that. Also got, as you can see, some tea. I haven't tried this one, but it's breastfeeding organic loose leaf tea. Looks great, also very cute. And then finally, this is just the stuff I got today. I also want to make up some bliss balls or some cookies to include, and crochet a scrunchie, just so it's free friendly. Also got a hat, so I'll grab that as well. But I got this little cup, again a very cute one, but it's just got a little verse on the inside and a little reminder to be thankful. So that goes in there. So I also got this little crochet hat, they match, didn't realize. She loves yellow, so that works out really well. Little crochet hat, and if I have time, I'm gonna make, if I have time and yarn, Mum a matching one, but we shall see because we're going to visit them quite soon. All right, so there's room in here for some bliss balls, some treats, and also I'm gonna grab from my little stash of stuff I haven't used with baby, a towel and a muslin wrap. All right, I have raided my stash of baby gifts that I didn't want to open because I already had some. So trying to not be wasteful, didn't want to use duplicates, or things that I just won't use. So we got these baby milestone cards. They're not something that I would use, but they are so cute. So giving them to her, I know that they're more likely to be used. They're also quite girly, so I think they are perfect for a little gal. Little muslin wrap again, and just a jersey blanket that we were given as well that I didn't need because we already got one. Don't want to be wasteful. All right, now this is getting quite full. Okay, and then finally, he has already outgrown size 1 nappies, so we were given a whole heap of size 1 nappies, so I'm just going to include a lot of those. And I did buy another one of these for the next person that has a baby in my life, because this is just such a great gift to give, and it's so exciting to just bless a person who's in a very like new, different stage. So filling up every gap with a little nappy, and now there's no room for bliss balls, but I'll just put them in a container or something. Great. So this is our basket. It is very, very cute. I would feel so blessed if this is what I was receiving. So again, if you have someone who's postpartum in your life, it's little things that are practical that mean so much. Just giving them things they're actually going to use, like nappies and wraps. And yeah, if you are a mum, another great thing is just not opening every gift if you know you won't use it, because I mean, I wouldn't be offended if I gave somebody something and they already had it. Better to not waste and re-gift. I don't know if that's controversial. But this is our little gift. I love it. Alright, hopefully you can't hear his heavy breathing, but it is finally time for, drumroll, the birth story. How am I going to tell this? I haven't really planned it out too much, but like I said, I really want to focus on the positives, because there were some things that happened with maybe the system and nurses and things like that that weren't that great. But yeah, I just honestly believe people are trying their best, and whatever happened, like, it is what it is. So let's go back to the beginning, when I first was in, not early labour, but about to go into early labour. So my birthday is on the 10th of September, and I had pretty much said to him in my belly / to myself, like, he can arrive on any day except my birthday, because I would still enjoy having my own birth date. And I'd been hanging out with some mum friends in the morning, and just making jokes about, yeah, he just isn't allowed to come into to start labour today, because it's my birthday. I don't want to push out a baby on my birthday. And spoiler, he didn't come on my birthday, but at dinner that night, my waters broke. So we were just at home. I think I was just laughing at something, and then I was like, oh, I think I've wet my pants, and I didn't think my pelvic floor was that weak. What else had I done? Oh yeah, I had started expressing colostrum that week. Now, I know that if all of that actually induced labour significantly well, then nobody would go over. So I'm not sure whether that put me into early labour or it would have just happened anyway, but regardless, that's when I went. And it was a little bit unexpected. I was preparing myself mentally to go to 42 weeks, which is as long as you're allowed to go in Australia, purely because it's my first baby, and I just wanted to, set my expectations, but I had prepared myself for that, but I had a little bit of a feeling that I would go early. So I was all organised, and all his clothes were washed, our little nappy station was all set up. Like everything was ready to go. I also love organizing, so it was pretty easy to get ready. And yeah, so on 37 and 5, my waters broke, and I quickly got everything together, packed the rest of my bags, like my phone charger, everything else, thinking, you know, today's the day I could share a birthday with my baby. And then contractions started about half an hour to an hour after I had my waters break, which was very quick because I know you can be like have your waters broken for quite a while before labor actually begins. And so my contractions were pretty manageable. They were still painful, but breathing through them I could pretty much handle them quite easily. And I was like, all right, I know my midwife said just to sleep and try to sleep and see how long you can go at home without coming into the hospital. So that's what we did. And for context, I'm in MGP, which is midwifery group practice in Australia, which means that I have the same midwife for all my pre-baby appointments, which isn't the standard in Australia, which I think it should be because it's a really, really great program. So when I called the hospital and my waters had broken, my midwife, unfortunately, was in Melbourne, which in the end it worked out. The lady I had on with me at the very end, the big moment, she was amazing. So I was very grateful that regardless, I still got a really awesome midwife who, you know, said all the right things and was somebody that I really liked her approach to birth. She was very, very helpful. So thanks, Brie. She was also called Brie. So called them, knew we had to stay at home for as long as possible. Tried to sleep. I think I probably got like maybe 2 hours added up over that night. So this is Tuesday night. Wake up on Wednesday morning. Wake up. I had been up pretty much all night. And the contractions were like 3 minutes apart, so they were really close and really painful. So I was like, I can't really handle this anymore. I think it's time to go into hospital and have a baby, which was all very exciting. We headed in and it was very hard, you know, hobbling with contractions through the hospital, not the best way to enter, but I was pretty sure we were going to have a baby. So we go in and she checks me for my dilation and I was only 2 centimeters. So if you know, you need to get to 10, and 2 is like some people just walk around with 2 centimeters for weeks. So I was sent home, and because my waters had broken, they encouraged me to go home because if you stay in hospital with your waters broken, they often encourage interventions and things like that, which I was really trying to avoid. So I had done the Australian Birth Stories course and Christian hypnobirthing, and really was just believing for a unmedicated natural birth, and that's not quite what I got, but I really found the tools of breathing and all the education that those courses provided. They were really, really helpful. So when things kind of went wrong, I knew what was happening and I knew what my options were. My birth plan pretty much said, I know what the interventions are, like don't offer them, I will ask for them, which is exactly what happened. But once we came home after that first little stop in the hospital, I pretty much just went into, all right, we're going to wait this out. Again, my contractions were 3 minutes apart and very unbearable, but with the breathing and the like low groaning and just trying to distract myself, I had the TENS machine, which was absolutely amazing. Highly recommend if you are going into labor just to have it on hand. I used it the entire time. So I was at home laboring, contractions happening every 3 minutes. Sometimes they were 1 minute apart, which I was like, oh, that's a bit close. And multiple times we called for the midwife to come and visit, because if you're in MGP, they can do a home visit and check your dilation. So we had someone at 2 p.m. come, and again, I was only, I think I might have been 4 centimeters at that point. And then we had someone come at 2 a.m. So I'd been, again, contracting this whole time, in and out the shower, on the ball. Lewis was squeezing my hips constantly, the poor guy. I don't know how his arms didn't fall off. And at the 2 a.m. visit with MGP, again, I was only 4 centimeters. And that was very disheartening, because I don't know how long it had been at that point. But this is like, we're already at Thursday, and I went into labor on Tuesday. and contractions started straight away. So it's just a really long time to be awake. And keep in mind, because Tuesday was my birthday, I had gotten up early to go jump in the ocean, which also might have put me in labor, because I wanted to start my 26th year, you know, the way I have on other years, which is a little personal tradition, but jumping in the sea, which in September, it's not that cold, but still I don't like getting in cold water, so that was fun. But I had gotten up to see the sunset, so I'd gotten up very, very early, which had extended my whole time of being awake. So I was very tired. And when at 2 a.m. she's like, "You're not dilated," I was like, oh my goodness, how can I keep going? But I did. So kept laboring at home, had like meditation tracks and soothing music playing. It was very hard. Most difficult thing I've had to do was just wait out those contractions up to that point. And yeah, it was interesting. It's very, how do I describe it? It's possible to do if you don't go into fear. So I was really holding on to, if I stay hopeful and not scared of these contractions, then we're so close. And it could be in an hour I give birth. I could have my baby so soon. And the whole time I just had that positive mindset, which I think is what got me to go for so long with contractions without anything happening, really. As in, like, no baby, no interventions. We held on for a very long time. So at 8 a.m. on Thursday, I was just like on my ball in pain, and I just had this little thought, like, it's time, you need to go into hospital. And I think it's purely because I was just at that point, I was so exhausted. So we went in, very, very painful driving and walking in again. And she checked me once I was in there, and again, I was only 4.5 centimeters. So it turned out he was posterior, so his spine was against my spine, which means your cervix just doesn't dilate as quickly as if he was in the right position. And so it also means your contractions are more painful, which just great, just really good stuff. So we had, again, only 4.5 centimeters of dilation, and I was pretty disheartened, but I had all these birth stories in my head of, like, you can go from 4 centimeters up to 10 centimeters in like an hour. Like, the time limits they set on contractions and dilation, it's different for everybody, so it may not be that way for you. So I was really hoping that if I just lasted a little bit longer in the hospital, that he would be able to come without, again, any like oxytocin drip or interventions. So I went in the shower at the hospital and again, just labored away for as long as I could. We went in the hospital at 2 a.m. At 8 a.m., I was pretty done. I was so tired, and I was lying on the bed just feeling very low because the nurse had just come in and said, hey, you need to look at some other things because your water's been broken for so long and there's a risk of infection. So what do you want to do? Like, we are strongly recommending you go on the oxytocin drip or the Pitocin. And I knew that on the drip, your contractions can be faster and harder and more painful. And I just didn't have it in me to keep going because at that point it had been 36 hours of straight contractions, which is a very, very long time. So I just said to her, can I please have the epidural? And she's like, yes. She was almost relieved sounding because I told them not to offer it. But me asking meant that the process would be easier for me and could just move along a lot faster, which in hindsight, next time I have a baby, I will be putting a cap on how long I last with contractions, because I think the next part, the actual birth, might have been less, I don't want to say horrific, but intense on my body if I had have had a bit more energy. So I got the epidural. Don't be scared of epidurals. After you have had contractions, it's easy. I was like, stab me 5 times. They even got it wrong the first time, and I just didn't care. I was like, try again. I don't even care. I'm so tired. So that was great. Had the epidural put in and got multiple hours of just high bliss. I don't remember if I slept. I probably did because time went really fast. And my mum came up to visit, and it was just great. Loved it. Lewis got to have some rest at that point because he'd been up with me for a lot of it. And it was really good. So don't be scared of the epidural. It's like awesome if you can have a natural birth and that be the goal. But we are so lucky and blessed to live in a country, or maybe you're in a different country, that has options, and really good options at that, when things aren't exactly going as they should be. So that was fine. Had the epidural, got put on the drip, and at maybe like 3 o'clock, I got checked again, and I was 10 centimeters dilated. Praise the Lord, because I got to have a little bit of a recharge. I was even texting people like, hey, I'm in labor. Again, I probably wouldn't have done that if I wasn't high, but it was great. Couldn't feel my contractions that much. Like, I could still feel the pressure. And then by the time it came around to push, I had let it wear off quite a bit. And so I wanted to have a bit more sensation so I could know how to push. But it just meant that, honestly, pushing was so painful that I don't think the epidural was working where it should, because it was way more painful than anything else I'd done at that point. So the pushing began at 3, and the first half an hour was easy peasy. I was nailing it, just breathing, pushing through each contraction. And then it got painful, because I think at that point my epidural just wasn't there anymore, and I had a numb leg, and I was laboring on my back. So I said I wouldn't give all the details, but it seems I am, which, oh well. Good for memory's sake, so I can look back on this birth. And yeah, so then the next part was just unbelievably painful. And unfortunately, he got stuck. This whole time they'd been monitoring him, and itchy nose, he had been doing so well. So they weren't worried about his heart rate. All of his, like, he was still moving and everything. So awesome little dude during that whole process, even though it was so long. But the pushing stage was getting up to 2 hours, and they were getting a bit worried because he wasn't coming out. He was stuck at a certain point in my cervix. Like, we could feel his head, and every time I pushed, he'd be like, this is the one, and he just wasn't coming out. Turned out his arm was wrapped around his neck, and I think he was like pulling down or something, because he does it now. He'll wrap his arm around his neck and you can't really move it. So yeah, 2 hours, suddenly Lewis said, I can't remember a lot of this, but the room was filled with people, which just means they're getting ready for maybe some emergency situations. And they came in and offered me the vacuum and episiotomy, or vacuum, maybe episiotomy if things were happening. And I was just like, yeah, get him out. Like, I don't want to put him at risk, and I am so tired. And in the thick of it, you're just making the best decisions you can. And after doing a debrief with one of the obstetricians there, I'm very proud of all the decisions I made, even though it didn't go to plan. So proud of myself. So the grand finale of the birth section is they did the vacuum. I started tearing, had to episiotomy me. And then they pulled him out on my chest. And I don't know if you guys believe in like visions or anything, but I do. And so before I went into labor, I had a vision of him being pulled out and plopped on my chest. And so throughout labor, I was like, I know how it's going to end. Like, I know he's going to be pulled out and put on my chest. And in that last little part of pushing, I was like, I feel like passing out. I'm so tired. But I know if I passed out, then oxygen often gets reduced going to him. And so they would probably need to do some emergency C-section or something. I was like, no, that's not how this ends. And so I just really fought to stay alert, stay awake. And yeah, so eventually they pulled him out with a vacuum very quickly, I guess, from where he was to pulling out, and put him on my chest. So exactly what I saw, which is crazy. And then he was beautifully pink and grunting, which I thought was normal, but apparently that's not the normal sound for them to make when they come out. They need to be crying. And so I got a few seconds with him. They cut the cord very quickly, and then they took him over to be, I don't think it was resussed, but with the CPAP machine, and they needed to do some things to make sure he was okay. And turns out he had little air pockets on his lungs that burst at some point during this process. And so he had to be whisked away to the NICU with Lewis and everyone else, it seems, in the room. So all of a sudden it was just me, my midwife, and a nurse who was stitching me up. And it was very surreal, but because I was so tired, I was like, do what you need to. And we also had a really, really lovely, I think she was a baby doctor of some sort, but pediatrician? I don't know. I think she was a pediatrician. Before they took him, because she, I guess, was in charge of his care, she came up and very lovingly and kindly explained like why they needed to take him away from me. And I really, really appreciate that woman, because in the chaos of it all, I'm sure it'd be easy just to be like, prioritize the baby, like get him out of here. But they looked after him and they made sure that I was like emotionally okay. And so she wrapped him up and he had the mask on, but they let me have a little cuddle for a very, very short amount of time, but enough that I could get a photo and go, this is my baby. And then they took him away and it was quiet. And my mum had been waiting downstairs the whole time and came up, which was so good, because initially I was like, if it's an easy birth, you don't need to like come, we'll just call you once it's all done. But I'm very, very thankful for her being able to be with me in that moment. I actually don't remember it very clearly, but she was there. And yeah, then we were just getting stitched up and I got whisked off to recovery because they needed rooms. Again, that September period I think is peak season for babies, with the Christmas and New Year being 9 months earlier or 10 months earlier. And yeah, so then I just had a shower and went into I need to see my baby mode. So washed all the blood off me, got in a wheelchair, and then went to see him. And I am so thankful that I expressed colostrum beforehand, because that saved us pretty much from him needing to go on formula, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with formula, but when you've got a bit of a traumatic situation and he had to be on antibiotics, any extra goodness, richness from that colostrum was, I'm sure, very, very beneficial. And so he was on that. I went down to NICU, got to see my little baby. Lewis had been texting me photos of him while I was resetting, getting dressed again. And then from there, he was just in and out. We got discharged and then readmitted because of jaundice. So his lung stuff cleared up pretty quickly, like after 3 or 4 days. And then it was just managing his jaundice, which, because we have different blood types, our levels were pretty good, but they had to be extra careful because they could go up and down with that. And we had some incredible nurses. We had some nurses that I knew from our church. And we had just people showing up in the most lovely ways and so much support. So it was the hardest thing. I mean, the birth was hard, but having him be in hospital, me trying to recover and having to be up and down rivals it pretty closely, and the hardest thing I've ever done that week. So he was good. He was great. He's a very chill baby, so he handled all the medical stuff really well. Obviously, they've just entered the world, so they're still figuring it out, but he, would hardly cry, was super chill, even though they were doing so much to him. And the whole experience on a whole, even though it was, I think you could frame it as traumatic, but I've just decided like it's probably the hardest thing I'll have to do, at least for a very long time. And we got through it, and I'm so proud of us. And I feel so blessed that lots of things lined up just to make it a little bit better. And yeah, that's my birth story pretty much. He's fine now. He is the best baby, and feeding was so easy, which I know not everyone has. So we were so blessed to have that part, the breastfeeding, be just something actually enjoyable for me, because there was no troubles with it. Yeah, so that's his story. That's how he entered the world. It was mid-labor. I was like, we're only having one baby. At the end, I was like, I probably could think about doing it again later, but I'll need like 7 years to recover. And now we're 8 weeks later. I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. I love this guy so much. Let's make more. So yeah, I will be giving my body significant time to recover. And yeah, but I'm not scared of birth, and I don't feel super emotional talking about a bit of traumatic birth because I did process it, like with my mum, with our obstetrician, with some other people, and that was really helpful. So if you have had a bit of a negative experience, talking about it is very important, I think, and even just talking about it with someone who knows birth, who can answer your questions, because I literally said to him, I was like, was there anything I could have done to avoid him having to be resuscitated? Again, I don't know if that wording's correct, but he was like, no, like, you did everything you could. You should be, I don't remember if he said you should be proud of yourself, but I walked away from that conversation feeling like I'd made all the best decisions I could with all the information I had. So, yeah, that's us. That's our story. And crazy, not what I expected, but absolutely worth it in the end. You want to say bye? Bye, guys. See ya. Go join a pot of whales.
They won't even notice.
His nails are flaky. See, he does like his clothes. Yeah. Oh, is this one for Ada? Yes. Coffee and boobies in the morning. It's a the sweetest little boy. Oh, sad face. He just meowed. Getting that sun. What is that, precious boy? Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Are you ready for the other side? We are home. There. Stinky. You're stinky.
Yeah, do a trick with it.
That's crazy. He's not a guest. He works for us. Hey, give me a hand, Julie. I think his jacket should be moving. We can't have you untouched. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Whoa.
What was that? You all right?
His legs are so shaky.
Good hit, honey.